And I am wanted.
And I am worthy.
And I am called.
And I am purposeful.
And I am accepted.
And I am complete.
And I am chosen.
And I am healed.
My name is Micaiah, and I am wanted. When I was younger, I dealt with a lot of rejection from both of my parents. My mom left me in Selma to live with my grandparents while she came to Birmingham to live with my stepdad, and my dad just was not in my life. Eventually, my mom came and she brought me back to Birmingham with her, and at that point, it was the first time I remember feeling like I was wanted by anyone. I was living with her and my stepdad in a small apartment, and I didn't want for anything. They would give me whatever I wanted. My stepdad, he was always doing whatever it took to keep me and my mom happy. And it wasn't until maybe a year after I'd been living with them that I used to hear them all argue in the other room, and he would always say things like, "I just really want a daughter." And in my head, I was his daughter. Even though I wasn't born of him, I thought that I was his daughter. So it just made me feel really unworthy of being his. 2 months after the first time I'd ever heard him say that to my mom, they continued to argue about it. And one night I was just laying in my bed, and I felt someone in the room with me, and little did I know I was about to be molested. And I still, to this day, I don't know who it was because it was so dark in the room. And I mean, I guess I suppressed it for so long that I really even forgot that it happened. And it just, from that point, it spiraled, and I just felt like I was just dirty after that. So a couple years later, I just continued to just live life. I never told anybody. So once my stepdad got out of jail, he came and lived with us in my aunt's house. And I remember sitting on the steps with him one afternoon, and my mom was in the house and she was cooking or something, and we were just talking about how hard things had been. And I think I went inside and I told him, I was like, "I'll be right back, I have to use the bathroom." And he was like, "Okay." And then I came back and he wasn't there. And I think when I came back, I knew that he wouldn't be there. I thought that he would change his mind about leaving. We didn't hear from him for about 3 years after that. And my brother and sister, they would always ask where he was, and I don't remember my mom ever reacting to it. We ended up living in a shelter, and for the first time he started coming back around, and he would come and get me and my brother and sister, and we would go and do things, and I was happy again. Even though we were living in a shelter, I was happy because I had a father again. And once we moved out of the shelter, we got a house. He came and lived with us. So I just thought that things were getting pieced back together. So once he started living with us, and we had an air mattress or something that we used to all love to just get on, and we would just fall asleep together. And it was one of my favorite times of my life. And I remember one day I woke up, and it was a Thursday, and I was supposed to get ready for school, and I just felt someone touching me. And I think my mind just didn't register that it was my stepdad, because I didn't want it to be him. I did end up telling my mom, and he moved out, and we were alone again. I jumped from relationship to relationship to relationship, trying to feel wanted and trying to be good enough for somebody and have control of something. I ended up falling in love with this guy. He was like the best thing that ever happened to me. And he was an atheist. In my head, if he was an atheist and I loved him, I had to be an atheist. I had never learned about God anyway, so he just was not real to me. Just a couple things happened in that relationship. We ended up breaking up. I ended up going to a church service with one of my best friends, and I received the Lord into my heart that night. And I just remember him saying to me, "I've always wanted you. You've always been enough for me." And it was in that moment that it all just made sense to me. And I never known God to make this up in my head. So I was like, who is this person that is coming after me in this room tonight? Like nobody else hears him. Like I was so confused. And from that day, I just decided that I was gonna live my life for him.